So let's try that again. You might have a couple. You have like a row of 100 trees sitting next to each other, about 5 feet apart. And that machine looks like a cutout of a car wash. And that machine rides over the hedge and has weed whacking fingers on the inside, so it pushes the olives off the tree. So by the time I would think about starting harvesting one of these trees with a rake, we would have harvested this whole row. That's how fast it is going. Tiny little white and yellow blossoms, they don't smell, they don't cause allergies. They look absolutely gorgeous if you bring a magnifying glass. And they only last about 2 weeks, because what the tree does to manage its weight, the tree doesn't let every blossom turn into an olive. Because if it were that way, that tree would crash under the weight. So the tree only lets about 4 or 5% of all the blossoms turn into an olive. So you see, when you look at a tree, you see more tree without olives. If you live in Wisconsin or you live in Minnesota, don't look for olive trees up there. Also helps us in another aspect, that's pest control. Olives only have one natural enemy, that's an olive fruit fly. But olive fruit flies cannot fly when it's over 80 degrees, which is about 10 months out of the year in Arizona. So we don't use insecticides, we don't use chemicals on our trees. So if you always wondered how an olive tastes off the tree, just pick one, wipe the dirt off, and take the biggest bite you can. Like about October, it's a fully grown olive, but it's unripe and it's green. It tastes absolutely terrible. By the end of the harvest season, which should be sometime between December and October, it's the same size, the same terrible taste, but it has a different color. It's a purple olive. There are no black olives on the tree. Black olives are food-colored olives. Every olive starts out as green and ends up in purple. They taste terrible regardless what color they are, but at gut health, they're good for your circulation, they're good for your brain. That's why we recommend to take a tablespoon of olive oil every day. But they create a very interesting spicy aftertaste in olive oil. And if you never tasted real olive oil, you're going to be in for a surprise when I introduce you to olive oil. And how that happens is, if we went out now and harvested olives, chances are that most of our olives are still green. Green olives are very high in polyphenols. They create a very spicy oil, which we call a robust oil. It tastes like it sounds. Then if we go out a couple of weeks later, harvest our next couple hundred trees, you get a mixture of green and purple olive. It will be good for you. We also give you the guarantee, if it takes you so long to use up a bottle of olive oil, about 18 months, 24 months after bottle date, you're gonna open up one day and it's gonna stink. It's gonna smell, it's gonna go bad. And it doesn't matter, don't believe my snowbird friends. They put their oil in the freezer and think it will last longer. No, it doesn't. Some people believe if I never open my bottle, it will last forever. No, it doesn't. A closed bottle on your kitchen counter will die the same speed than an open bottle in your freezer. Example, but so the IOC then, when they come in and make sure we use the right production equipment, they also test olive oil. Number one, they test it for a substance called oleic acid, which is in every fat you eat. And they also test it for taste and for smell, because they developed a list of taste and smells that olive oil should have, and a list of taste and smell that olive oil must not have to be a good extra virgin olive oil. So if we're lucky and we make a good olive oil, the best oil, but not the very best, it's called a virgin olive oil. This is like the quality of a box wine you find on the shelf. That olive oil has a smoke point of about 500. So if you want to deep fry, if you want to flash fry in a wok, that's the only application for an oil that's a pomace oil. Everybody good? Okay, I'm gonna start. We grew 15 of them here, and they range from a niçoise that has the size of a pea to a Castelvetrano that's about that big. But this, the one I showed you, this is in Argentina. This is an average size of olive. And it's a try. We started out with a whole lot more. We threw out a couple because they didn't produce as well as we wanted. We're down to finding out that our baby trees, our COVID babies, are Koriniki, which is a good Greek olive. Certain expiration date or a best use by date. We actually put a bottle date on it, so you know from that time the cereal box. What you're going to look for is a little bit more information. It's called nutrition fact. This is what you look for, because you would be surprised when you do that how many healthful cereals are worse than a cup of Coke with all the sugar they have in there. On olive oil, there's a lot of fake stuff going on the front label. You want to look on here, and if you're lucky, you find a bottle that's perfectly marked, has a line called ingredients. And if it doesn't say extra virgin olive oil on here, you know you're getting down the wrong way. And what some people do is they take a bottle of bad olive oil, like processed olive oil, they pour out a cupful and put some extra virgin olive oil in it so they can use the term extra on the front label. But when you look on the nutrition facts, it tells it's refined olive oil or it's Mediterranean olive oil. I mean, there are 30 countries around the Mediterranean, so where do the olives come from? Who processed them? Who made the olive oil? Who tested it? So you want to find more information about what's really in your bottle when you look at the right system. Ready to taste some? So you notice you got to taste it neat. Once you know how good it is, olive oil and bread are made, a match made in heaven, so enjoy that. But for tasting, neat. Number one, you want to look at the color and consistency of your olive oil. And don't believe people who say the darker your olive oil, the better it is. Color doesn't have an impact on the taste. Did I tell you to taste it? When I say go. Thank you for letting me play with you. You want to empty this in your mouth. This is about the equivalent of a tablespoon. And then keep it in your mouth for about 5 seconds. Don't chug it. If I had put a little piece of pepper or some salt or a drop of vinegar in there, you would not have gotten that taste. And as weird as it sounds, the more burn you get, the better your olive oil is. But whenever you taste it with bread, so you can never tell how good the olive oil is. That's why we encourage taste olive oil to taste it neat, and then do whatever you want with it. And this was that's up there in the Tuscany area between Florence and Milan, and it's basically, if I want to lay down, it's basically processed grape juice. So our friends in Modena go out and harvest their grapes, and they harvest them like we harvest our olives. They take everything that comes off the vine, the stems, the leaves, the pits, the skin, and they crush it. And then crushing looks about as bad as our pommes, and they start boiling this crushed up grapes. And then that liquid turns into vinegar, it gets fermented, and we have 2 different types of that. Kind of the grandfather of all vinegars, this is called a white balsamic vinegar. If you tasted this, you would be speechless for about 10 seconds, and you could have dimples in your cheeks for about a half an hour. It's called white balsamic. I want you to taste a drop of it to re-establish how vinegar used to taste. I remember this as a kid. I mean, it opens up your eyes, makes your sinuses water. But then our friends over there keep that and boil it a little longer, and it becomes darker because it pulls out all the color out of the stems and the leaves. And then they take that already dark liquid and put it in a barrel that's being charred on the inside and leave it in there for a minimum of 5 years, and they call it aged balsamic vinegar. This is like a sour lemon drop. This is like the sweetest thing you can think in the candy aisle. This is a great vinegar for salad dressing. It doesn't burn, it doesn't irritate your skin, your nose, your sinuses.